This video's long because not only do I show you how to do it, I show you why you're doing it and how to fix it correctly. There's a lot of rusty crap on this truck, so pay attention. So today we're going to work on a Chevy Equinox. We've got a fender that is bent because there's a tab down there that's rusted. So we're going to show you how to remove this fender. We're going to show you how to fix that tab down there pretty easily. Okay, so we've got a couple bolts to remove. Up underneath this shield right here, we have one. Open up the driver's door. We have one there. Down here on the bottom, underneath the skirting, we're going to have two. A lot of times this tab is rusted off, and we're going to show you how to recreate this tab and simply fix this pretty easy in your garage. By the way, the GMC Terrain is exactly the same with removal and installation. Keep in mind during this process, if anyone else can do it, you can do it too. My name's Clay with the Clay Way here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And if this video is helpful, please consider subscribing, turning the volume down, letting the video play when you find the part of it that you're looking for. Also going to have one that connects up through here. And here, we're going to have a few. So here's what you do. Start taking out these poppy clips. Whenever you're looking at this, just remember, if anybody else can do it, you can do it too. According to man wisdom, if you had to pay somebody $300 to do this for you, and you did it yourself, you just made 300 bucks. Up underneath there are body clips. You just pull them straight up. Grab it right here, pull it up to expose your bolts. You can remove this pussy here, plus these two pussies. Then gently pull up on it. 7mm here. And we're going to remove both headlight 7mm screws from each side. 10mm here and here. Another pussy right here. Then just grab it by the pushy and pull that thing right out of there. You're not going to damage the fender you're replacing. This part tucks right up underneath the fender lip right there. Pull that up. Pull the 10mm bolt that's down there. My name is Clay with the Clay Way here in Western Muskegon, Grand Rapids, Michigan. And that sucker should be a little bit loose now. Opening the door, taking a wobble 10mm socket, we're going to remove this bolt right here. For you Chevy Equinox GMC Terrain owners, do not jack this up anywhere but the subframe or the rear subframe, because these Chevy Equinoxes GMC Terrains will rust out on the cradle here, just like that. Yeah, we fixed those. If that's interesting to you, look under my playlist for fixes you can only get here and look for this picture. In the rear, back it up right up underneath here. Definitely not here. The reason we do that is because a lot of the trailing arms are going to end up rusting out like this. Yes, we produce these here. And of course, you need to look for this thumbnail. I make these so you can keep food on the table and all of our families can be successful. When we're done, they look a little bit like this, son. To remove these 22mm lug nuts, the problem with these lug nuts is they often get water underneath them and they start to expand and bubble. They'll get stuck in your socket, but don't worry. I'm going to show you how to get them suckers out, and I'm going to show you what to replace them with. If you don't have a big ooga booga, you want to have this down on the ground and loosen your lug nuts before you take them off. And if you have the lug nut problem like I'm describing, just check out this card up here or down here in the description. That'll show you how to get these off. And strike it right about here. If you strike it on the tip, please don't hit the tip. It works, and when you're swinging a hammer, it's going to go all over the frickin' place anyways. If your wheel gets stuck on to where you can't get it off, I got super tricks for that too. Now, I'm certainly aware that all of you folks may not need all this information, but my videos are not only how to do things, but why you're doing them and the problems that you can run into. I share my experiences with you so you're always successful. That's why it's called the Clay Way. And not the douchebag know-it-all way. Guys over at Gravity Auto Sales in Clinton, Michigan actually sent me this vehicle. They got a young lady that's buying this car and she needed it fixed up. It had some pretty severe rust. She was worried about it. Pushy pliers, and we need to remove all of these along this inner fender liner. Hidden ones. One up here. And there's supposed to be one down there. There should be 2 bolts here and a little tab that comes off of here, which holds the bottom of this fender, but it's rusted away. While we're in here, we're gonna clean this up with a wire wheel and paint it. But all we're gonna do is take a little piece of steel that runs out here, bolt it to the fender, make sure our holes are right, and then weld it to the side of this rusted out part. But we need to clean this up to be able to do that. Then we'll primer over the top of it. Things should be good. Got a T20 screw right there. Don't get too far ahead of yourself with this thing all loose. There's a 7mm screw that we need to take off from right up straight up here. Theoretically, you only have to take off the skirting from this area right here because you can get up underneath here, get onto this bolt right here that is holding the fender to the bumper cover. Not quite ready yet, but getting very, very close. Looking on the inside, we have 2 10mm bolts we need to remove. This will pop up underneath here. These little clips fit up in these grooves right here. We want it to look nice when we put it back together, so be careful. Don't break these clips. Now we need to remove this bolt right here. Now we need to remove this bolt right here, 7mm, 10mm. So with them 2 bolts removed and that 3rd bolt down there removed, she's ready to come off. I'll also remove this 7mm screw on the headlight to give it a little wiggle room. Junk. Except for that clip is probably needed. First, we need to fix that. You see how our fender has these right here and this is totally gone? And this piece is just totally rusted off of here because of squadoosh. These holes also hold on that outer plastic part. And then up there, it doesn't have the plastic piece at all, so we need to take that off of the original fender. Okay, so you can go down to your local hardware store, get some of this 1.5 wide steel right here. This is 1/8 11 gauge. Probably use 16 gauge or 14 gauge on that as well. And all you have to do is put it up to there and mark it. These holes are actually bigger than, I believe, 6mm bolt that goes in. So it should look something like that. Now we can go cut and drill that, although you're not supposed to go so crazy with the paint. Really don't want this bolt to break off inside there, so we're going to use that hole right there. We're going to spray a little bit of penetrant down inside there. Hopefully it doesn't break. If it does break, it doesn't matter. We'll line the holes up and then we'll tack weld a nut onto the back of our part right there, but to this area right here if necessary. So you need to clean this up a little bit. Necessary to tap on this bolt a little bit. That'll actually heat up the bolt and allow it to extract out a little bit easier. That thing stripped off as soon as I hit it. Might not have done that if I wouldn't have tried using pneumatics. That sucker's rusted. And for you sissy bitches that can't get it tight enough, there's an Allen screw at the bottom of these vice grips. It's about what we're looking for right here. Tack this plate down to here. Now this plate is going to make this fender come out a little bit, so we're going to have to compensate for that. So don't get too jumpy and start assembling everything thinking that you got it. I'm sure there's going to be a little bit to this and getting this to set in here correctly. This is important. The reason that that other fender got dented up right along here was because it didn't have anything affixing it here and it moved back. So we need to make sure that our gaps are correct, and we're going to use the other side of the vehicle to make sure that the gaps are somewhat consistent all the way down. Now I've got the bolt in there, but I'm going to take the bolt out and I'm going to screw the plate behind it just to see what kind of gap I have, make sure that my transition is good. Now with that fender secured down, you can feel that the transition's pretty good here and here, but not here. There's about a 1/16 and 1/8 of an inch. So what we need to do is we need to take our bracket out. We're going to try to grind it down and make it a lot thinner so we can still use it in the back of there, and it kind of holds it up as we tack it to the body. The reason these holes are so large is so we can move it and get it into the position that we want, and we want that to be a consistent line through there, and we want that gap to be consistent up through there. I'm going to take and remove this bracket from here with these 3 7mm screws. Back to that fender here in a moment, but while the air compressor's running, I want to grind all this down. Put a little bit too much weld-through primer on there. Try to keep away from the outside parts of the car. This won't really be seen, so I think we're okay there, and you could just wipe this off probably. Just want to protect it a little bit. Then we'll probably spray some bed liner over the top of this when we're done. Now, if you're using a new aftermarket panel like we are, or an OEM panel, you're gonna need these little screw parts for this part. So these out and put them in our new fender. Looks like you just pinch them together and you can get them out. Just be careful not to distort them too much, because screw makes thread through the end of here where this little gap is at. You even use your pushy pliers for this. Bet you thought I was gonna say something else, didn't you? Now we've taken that, thinned it down pretty well. Line all of that up again, put our bracket inside the back of there. We'll mark this out, tack weld it to this part of the body. Once we get everything like kind of gapped correctly, that gap is okay. Oh, we took the fender back off, we put it in our lines. Now I'm gonna insert these things. Now keep in mind, when you put the screw back in here, it's going to force these tangs back out. Just took it, squished it down a bit to where they end up looking like this. Then with them inserted like that, I can take my pliers and push them in like that. They're in there like that. A screw up in it, collapse them out and make them stay. They're not really loose, they won't come out right now. Try not to break your screws off in there. Make sure that's spread apart a little bit. We don't put this screw in until we have the bumper cover secured up into these clips down here, and that's why we don't break the clips. So the bumper cover will clip in behind these clips right here. I cannot believe I just did that. That's okay though, just take you some brake parts cleaner, spray it onto a rag like this and wipe it off. Should be okay. Should come right off. Yeah, it pretty much does. That brake cleaner might melt this plastic, so you know, you might be able to use some Goo Gone or something like that. If you do use brake cleaner on the plastic, just spray over the top of it right away with some PB Blaster or something, so you can make this thing as long as you need it and as high as you need it to be able to fix it to something in here, because I've seen these pretty rusted out. Now we're going to spray it down with some undercoating just so it lasts for a while. We're never going to stop this rust, but we can slow it down just a bit. I'm not Pablo Picasso, baby. We can put our fender back on, obviously. So this fender goes in, and then like this, I had Christian pull out on the bumper cover a little bit. We don't want to snap any of this in until we get the bolts that go in this way down there, and we want to get this bolted here. Hope you're paying attention even this far, because there is a really important step to reassembling this that you need to do. Just don't forget, if anyone else can do it, you can do it too. Just putting in bolts right now, we're not tightening anything. It is absolutely critical that you make sure your door functions before you tighten any bolts down, because you'll end up with a dented fender just like you did before. Color match is okay. Silver is a pain in the butt. Now we need to check this door. We need to make sure everything clears. And it looks like it does, so we should be okay. But we need to check it before we just cram open the door. Once we tighten everything down, we need to make sure that it actually opens. So I went through and I've tightened down all 4 of these screws and the one back there, and then the 2 bolts down here. It should be good to start putting it back together. We're gonna get them bolts that go up underneath that clip, and then we'll pop that in there. Make sure you clip all that back in, your screw up in there so it locks this part down. So I think all in all, this thing turned out pretty good. Christian is putting the rest of it together and putting in our little pushy clips, and we're all done. Make sure you tuck this up back up underneath the fender right here. We're good to go. Well, I hope you folks enjoyed that video. I treat you folks just like my kids. I don't always give you what you want, but I try to teach you what you need. If this video was helpful, please consider subscribing, clicking the notifications, sharing my videos. Me them sweet old thumbs up. If you've got a question for me, you can hit me up on Clay's AC and Auto Repair over the Facebook Messenger. I can't help you with that baby mama drama, but I'll try to help you with your whip for absolutely free. I don't collect information. Just do it to be a human, just like you. Don't be the next to them. Be the first of you. And if anyone else can do it, you can do it too. God bless, folks. Have the best of days.